people admire the courage that it takes to be open and vulnerable, and to show someone like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm struggling with this. I just want to be open and honest with you about this. It's tough for me to talk about, but here I am. Most people will have a positive response to that and be invested in helping you.
You talked about basically as you were moving through the different phases of resolving the problem, having different girlfriends, relationships, whatever. Did any of those partners help? Like, what's been your general experience of either yourself or clients in terms of, dealing with girlfriends, relationships, alongside this problem?
Well, for me, before I realized what the problem was, they didn't help because they couldn't help, because I couldn't ask for help. I couldn't give them any direction. But afterwards, that's a big part of a successful recovery. It's not just abstaining from porn, but what we call rewiring, reconditioning yourself to respond to real touch and real intimacy with someone you care about. And in that process, it's going to help immensely to have the person you're with understand what's going on and be fully supportive and on your team. When you don't have that, guys tend to be a lot more anxious because they have that pressure to perform and they don't want to have to explain if they're not able to perform. And that anxiety can get in the way of just being able to relax and enjoy themselves and experience a positive sexual experience. Even if they are physically ready at that point to have sex, that can still be a roadblock for them. So having those conversations in the right ways and recruiting that partner support is immensely important. And they can do a lot to help the guys who are struggling. And most women or most partners will be willing to do that because people admire the courage that it takes to be open and vulnerable, and to show someone like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm struggling with this. I just want to be open and honest with you about this. It's tough for me to talk about, but here I am. Most people will have a positive response to that and be invested in helping you.
Well, that has been, in a different way, my personal experience as well. In the process of starting REMOJO, it's just been so easy to get people on side and to get positive feedback and reactions from the world. Pretty much since I started sharing the idea that I had for, the app itself, and then building it, sharing it with people, talking to investors and employees and potential users and everything. It's almost just like all we need is for people to just start being authentic and open, and the world just will help you along, because it's such a positive thing to actually come out with. And the reality is, I think everyone knows that everyone's watching porn. It's just it's just that, like, until more people start just coming out with it and being straight, being direct, and saying, yeah, this is I'm in the 99% of people that are watching it.
A client the other day told me that he told his 4 best friends that he was addicted to porn and getting help, and they all said, I'm addicted to porn too.
Yeah.
So he realized that his entire friends group was addicted to porn, but they didn't know because they never talked about it. And we don't wear shirts that announce that we're addicted to porn, or that we can only get it up for a computer screen and not for a real person. It's not something that most people feel comfortable sharing, but a lot more people in your life might sympathize and experience the same thing, or know someone who is. When I talk to women about this, pretty much all of them can recognize, my ex, yada yada yada, or they can see the effects.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing as well. I think and I hope that in a few years, I think we can sort of accelerate this conversation, and in the same way that some things used to be considered really quite embarrassing that are totally mainstream now. Like, I remember when Tinder came out. You're the same age as me, so
so I think
Tinder came out.
It was an embarrassing thing to say you met on a dating
Yeah,
app?
it was really like people would lower their voice and or they would, like, a lot of the girls would pretend they're not on there, or they didn't know what it was or whatever. And now it's like totally normal. Like pretty much anyone who's single will be on there or on something similar. And I think that's like an indication of how much something can change. And I think the problem is mainstream enough. It's just the conversation is not.
Yeah, and that's been part of my mission, and sounds like yours as well. Just to promote this conversation, get people talking about it, get people and governments, and institutions to recognize what's happening. And you mentioned Pornhub earlier, and other similar companies. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Layla McElwaite and Exodus Cry, and that organization's attempts to put the pressure on those companies and threaten their bottom line, because that's all they really care about at the end of the day is their bottom line. And getting payment processors, credit card companies to stop doing business with those businesses because they don't want to be associated with the child rape content hosted on their sites or the other illegal content that they seem for years to have very little interest in moderating or in removing until the spotlight has been turned on them. And last I heard, I think the owners of Pornhub were trying to sell it and get out of the business. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but that's what I read.